and we're here for another segment of Leopard Legends. And today's a special one, ladies and gentlemen. We've heard a lot of great names in Leopard lore. A Ken Kuhn, a Tom Klebeck, a Mark Steyer, a Brian Beatty, a Neil Seaman, great coaches like Rick Chrislett, Paul Farah, and the legendary Paul Starkey. But there's one name in Louisville history that sets the standard, and today we're sitting with that name, Bob Gladieux. Bob, thanks for joining us.
Oh, pleasure to be here, John. I'm really excited, and it's great to be back in Louisville and back home in a community that cares about kids so much and does so much for them, and supported the programs here, young and old, you know, that developed us when we were, you know, little peewees to go on to do bigger and better things.
Tell us about that community, growing up in Louisville, playing in the Little Leopard program. Like, how was it growing up in Louisville? And maybe a couple memories back then to kind of prepare you to put the blue and white on into your high school years.
Well, I think of the first was being part of the Little Leopard program.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, and we just had on those plastic belts with those little flags with stickers, and boy, you'd rip them off, but you'd have a lot of fun. And we had the coaches and the practices. We prepare, and we had 4 teams, I believe, that you play your schedule. And then eventually it came down to, I believe we finished with a night game. Was that correct?
Yes.
We played the last game, or last round, under the lights. And you know how big that had to be for a little kid, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So that was thrilling and exciting. And we're running plays and cadences that the Louisville Leopards used. So we were preparing for the next level while we were down there in the Pee Wee program, so the Little Leopards. So that was a growing experience for us, and really helped us in the years to come.
So Bob, a 1965 graduate of Louisville, played for the Leopards in 62, 63, and 64. Dreaming about being a Leopard, you know, talking about the cadence of what the Leopard varsity team was doing. All of a sudden, take us to 1962. You're a sophomore. You're now suiting up as a varsity player. What was the biggest thing that just stuck out to you when you made that jump from middle school football, you know, freshman year, to all of a sudden you're playing on a Friday night?
Oh, it was quite an experience. It's you know, coming in to this stadium, it's standing room only. They're standing around the end zone. They got ropes there. It's really incredible. It's a sight to behold, you know, and and the coaching staff you have, you know, the preparation that's involved, and your teammates, you know, we were gifted to really have a stellar class of some pretty darn tough, good football players to as teammates and compete with. And as I believe we lost one game, I think, in our 3 years or so. But it was a beginning of exciting times for me, so. And this place really rocked.
That's awesome. So, having a lot of talent on the sidelines, a lot of great football players, but you need a guy to kind of bring it all together. And that guy might have been Gaylord Hap Lillick, the head coach.
Oh boy.
Tell us about Hap.
Well, Hap was, he was a saint of a man. Yeah, as I remember him. He was a tremendous, knowledgeable coach of the X's and O's, and I believe Hap came from Massillon. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. You know, he came from Massillon Tigers, and as soon as we heard that, boy, you know that got our attention. And when he came in, you know, we were never around a man that was such a gentleman. He never would swear. He was always, and if he'd ever get upset, you know, he'd smack his fist or stomp his foot, and you'd know he was mad, so upset in that. But that's one thing that we didn't want to do. We didn't want to ever see him get upset, because he was a saintly person, like, and he was wonderful. What a man, what a coach, and it was to be around him and to play for him. And I think, you know, our one big game there against Canton South, when
this is your sophomore year.
Sophomore year, he pulled out the Bible and read us the verse of David killing Goliath. And we're up against Dick Himes and the boys. And we certainly had no fear when we went through that door. I promise you that.
You definitely played like a champion that night.
Oh, God, did we? I mean, it was incredible, huh?
So sophomore year, you knock off a great Canton South team, a game in which you score a touchdown and have an interception to beat your rival at that time, to finish off a 10-0 season. Had to be an absolute thrill. You then roll that into your junior year, where you guys finished 9-1. You finish as an honorable mention All-Ohioan, which is a great honor for a junior. Tell us, going into your senior year, could you sense something special coming that senior year? In terms of team accolades and teams of individual success. I felt that, you know, we were a championship team. You know, I felt and believed we could beat anybody. You know, we had talented class with strong nucleus. You know, some of the players we had. Mark Steyer, you know, the tremendous player Mark was, and Dwayne Hauser at quarterback, and Jeff Ziegler, and Doyle Smucker and the linemen, and I can recall all the players, but it was, we had a tremendous group of kids that I played with, in Little Leopards, freshmen, all the way on up, you know, and we followed the game plan and worked hard, and I don't know what the statistics were or anything, but I think we pretty much dominated everybody. Well, Bob, you bring up statistics. Well, first of all, you talk about the standing room only crowds. It seemed that year you also made the defense like a standing room only, because they just stood there and watched you score touchdown after touchdown, you and the rest of your teammates. That year, the Leopards outscored their opponents 420-24. An average score of 42-2 for those keeping score at home. I don't think I've ever heard a stat like that, to be quite honest with you.
No, that's incredible. That's almost sounds like a mismatch, or we're in the wrong league, you know. But that was a group of, you know, you get a group of, and that's a credit to the community and the program, from the Little Leopards to your freshman program, and the interest of that growing and developing, you know, John, that maturity. And from that young age, from the Little Leopards on your freshman year, you're installed with the offense and the defense, and it's automatic. You know what? Everybody knows what you're doing. It's hands down. And the players, their commitment, and the summer workout plans, and the preparation we talked about earlier, you know, is the toughest part of the whole deal. And the Friday nights under the lights was, you know, is when you all let it loose and enjoy.
Yep. Now, as great of a career as you had in football, especially in high school, 196 points his senior year he scored, which led the state in scoring and set a new county record in scoring, as well as a parade All-American, a first-team All-Ohioan. Player of the Year in 1964 in Stark County. The accolades go on and on. What I don't think people think of as much is you were a tremendous all-around athlete, a 3-year letter winner in football, basketball, and baseball, and you graduated your senior year as the all-time leading scorer in basketball history here at Louisville, which is a tremendous feat. And when we were talking a little bit earlier, Bob, if you could kind of articulate, what was your favorite sport in high school, would you say?
Well, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
That's a tough question, you know. Well, like I reiterated, I believe I just love baseball. I love baseball and you know, think of it, you know, boy, what would it have been like to have a, and you know, you love those Cleveland Indians when you were a kid back then.
Oh yeah.
And you say, oh boy, and you go to those Cleveland games, and and I played with Thurman Munson in Class A league a little bit, that caliber of ball, but I wasn't in that class. But you get the call in the college football, and I didn't get drafted by no Major League Baseball team or anything. So I went with football, and it was a good career, John. I had a real good career. You know, to go on at Notre Dame and play professionally. 4 years with New England and Buffalo, and I had a stint in the World Football League for a year and a half. I touched base in Canada for a game and touched that soil up there. But it was the time at Louisville and at Notre Dame, you know, are my best memories of playing football. And the pro football is such a business, you know, it's really cruel. It's really hard how they will and deal, and I want to share this with you because it's a memorable experience where as a rookie, I was the last guy cut, the very last guy, and I didn't hear about it, and I waited around, and they didn't cut me. It was on Thursday, so I was the last guy to leave the locker room. Nobody said it. Usually they come around, tap you on the shoulder, Bobby, bring your playbook, coach like to see you. So you knew what was up. So I'm sitting there waiting. Nobody said anything. I'm the last guy to leave the locker room. So I go home, call mom, and dad, hey, I made the team, ready. All right, go, Bobby. You know, all excited and everything. And I watched the 6 o'clock news, and at 6:20 on the sports show, it says Bob Gladieux, Notre Dame halfback, last Patriot cut. I go, what? How can that be? I said, that can't be. And this is after I just called home and talked to mom and dad, said I made the team. And boy, it was heartbroken.
Wow.
I had a $2,000 incentive bonus if I made the 40-man roster at that time, 42-man roster or whatever.
Yeah.
Heck, I would have gave them the money, John. You know, here's your lousy $2,000. I earned to be on that team. But they were in financial straits, and they wanted to save every nickel dime they could. They cut me in, and I played the rest of the year. I come back by next year, same thing happened again. I'll swear to God, it come down to the last day they didn't cut me.
I'm guessing you didn't live by the haplilic, not swearing at that time.
No, I went out and said, the heck with this. I'm tired of this organization and the way they handle things. I went out with a friend of mine. We were out hooting and howling, having a good time, you know, crying to my beer, whatever you want to call it. Next day I get up, and I had a friend in South Boston. I called him up. I knew he had tickets. I went down. We rode together to Foxborough Stadium. I get into the stadium by telling an usher this story. Hey, I got cut on Friday night or whenever. You wake up and see it on the news. And so I went out and got my buddy John come to the game with Bob Gladieux. He looks around, the usher looks around. Come on, Bob, come on here. Don't worry about it. Go on in. So I go in. I order a couple beers, and John goes to the bathroom. And over the PA, will Bob Gladieux please report to the Patriots dressing room? I go, I sunk in my seat. I goes, what? I look up in the sky, it was like that blue gray sky, the Four Horsemen Road, you know? I said, well, Bob Gladieux, please report to the Patriots dressing room. I go, what am I gonna do? I was out all night, I've been drinking, I've been partying, I've been raising heck, I'm not prepared to play any football contest. How can I get in a situation like this? I goes, Bob Gladieux, do it for the money, what's wrong with you? I said, all this time, I goes, you're right, man, I'm gonna do it for the money. Man, I ran down there to that locker room, and that coach says, Bob, get dressed, you're activated. I run over there, put my uniform on and everything, you know?
Now the question is, did you get those beers in a to-go cup to take down with you, or no? I'm not sure.
I got them later, I promise you that, you know. So I get all dressed up. Of course, my buddy comes back, and where the heck Bob go? Here's the beers and everything. I said, I don't know this guy. He was up and down, and he left. But where the heck could he be? We lose the towing costs for kicking off. Now I'm on the kickoff coverage, so now I'm dressed up and fastening my chin strap. I'm going, oh baby, here we go. And I'm going, oh, you got to make this look good, Bob. I said, they can't expect you to be ready to go down there and do your dance and all that crap, you know, just to make it look good, you know. Don't get hurt, Bobby. Don't get hurt. Protect yourself. I want to go a minute there. Boom. I run down there, man. I go down there, bust the wedge up. I come in, I make the tackle, and over the PA goes, tackle made by number 24, Bob Gladieux. And my buddy, sitting up in the stands, goes, what? What? Bob Gladieux made the tackle, and that's it. And I ended up in Sports Illustrated.
Really?
With the story. That story made Sports Illustrated at one time.
Now, my question is, from all your buddies, which one got your beer at that time? I'm not really sure. So
you got both of them. You got them both, baby.
So now let's take you back to that transition from high school to college, okay?
All right.
Woody Hayes shows up. He's the keynote speaker at the Leopard after the season banquet, all right? I'm guessing that's not by coincidence. Recruiting you pretty heavily, coming to some of your basketball games.
You're right.
It's down to Notre Dame, Ohio State. How does a gentleman back then tell Woody Hayes no?
Well,
how did it all play out?
Well, it was, Woody, I have the utmost respect there. Woody was a wonderful man. I loved Woody Hayes, you know, and I was always honest with Woody Hayes. I told him I was up front with him and I told him that my first love's always been Notre Dame. I told him my father'd been going there before the stadium was built. And that if I had an opportunity to play at Notre Dame, I said I certainly wouldn't want to pass it up. And I says, I love to play for you, Coach. I says, you've been wonderful and showing me the stadium facilities. What a complex, you know. And to compare Notre Dame to Ohio State, Ohio State was, you would have needed a class to get around down there. I mean, it was so big. Yeah. You know, to go from class to class, to go from here to here, to there to there. It was a little intimidating, the size. Of course, just, I don't know, it was 35,000 students then, or I don't know if it's 45 now, but it's really huge. You know, Notre Dame was 8,000 students maybe, and it might be 9,500, 9,600 now.
Yeah.
And quaint. But I was going to, my father loving Notre Dame, that's all I heard growing up, you know. And I was up front with Woody, and Woody understood. He says, Bob, he said, Notre Dame's a great university, and I understand, I appreciate you being up front and everything. And I loved it, and I respected that man, and would have loved to play for him, you know, if things didn't work out, because you're right, he was recruited me, so, and Notre Dame, they recruited me, but they were, Tom Pagna, the backfield coach from Akron, who was played for Era at was at Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, Tom really wanted me real bad, you know. And but Air was funny. He was different, you know. And when I had he says, you got your interview with Air coming up, you know. And Air didn't go. Air went out and got the big quarterback or somebody, you know, the Henready or the Theismann or the big quarterbacks, or maybe the George Coons, or maybe the All-American, you know, something, I don't know. But you know, he looked at me, and I just got over. I had a disease or something. I just had a cold and something. I lost 10 pounds.
Yep.
And I only was 170, you know, in high school or something, 175. So I was down to 165 or something, you know, and he's looking at me, and he's looking at my hands, my feet, you know, and he thinking, can this guy play at Notre Dame, you know? And he says, we'll let you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go home.
When did he let you know?
Well, it was about a week to 10 days later that they, you know, I talked to Coach Pagnon, and he says, well, you hang in there, hang in there. He said, I'll say a good word for you. I'm behind you, Bobby. I want you back. I want you here. We're going to have conferences and everything, you know. You know, academics, I was borderline, but I cleared, you know. I was academically accepted, and so I wouldn't be in there talking to him, you know. And because it's tough to get in, it's tough. And so finally they came across and said, yes, we're going to offer you a scholarship.
Wow.
So I thanked Coach Hayes, and I took it, you know. But it was a diet, and it's you know, I had a wonderful time, you know. I love Notre Dame so much. It's such a special place, you know, that I wish people. I wish, you know, that if you got if you drive past on that turnpike there, take the time to go by and pull over and visit the campus a little bit. Walk around the campus, you know. Go down to the grotto behind Sacred Heart Cathedral there, you know, and during the season or off season, you know, and the lakes and just the campus, you know. It's a small campus, you know. It's and you'll get and now it's even recently I was out there, and it's like a country club. Mm-hmm. I mean, the grass is. We used to cut corners because it was shorter to cut through the grass to get to class or something than going on the sidewalks. But now, boy, the grass is, like I said, it looks like a country. It's manicured, so clean, it's beautiful. Just beautiful out there, so you get a kick in. And I was just there with the wife. We went by to check on something, and we stopped in the North Dining Hall there, and boy, did they, it was so nice, so upgraded, and to go in, and it was really a high-class experience, you know, from when I went there, you know. And you can go there, or you can go to the huddle on where, you know, and get a hamburger and Coke and a soda, you know. Or you can go to the real elegant with a waiter, you know, with I'm just a regular guy, you know. I mean, you guys are.
It's good to have options.
Yeah, good to have.
So tell us. I mean, as good as Louisville was, obviously a historic program, but you stepped foot on the field there at Notre Dame for the first time. Did you have like a come to Jesus moment there? I mean, because obviously you're now surrounded by All-American after All-American after All-American. Was there ever a crisis of, do I belong here? Or did you really feel confident when you got there?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, because, John, when I first started my freshman year, and I got in line for our drills, there was this guy in front of me, Chuck Landolfi. He was a fullback. He had legs like this, you know, and his arms are sticking out. And I said, excuse me, I says, this is for halfbacks and fullbacks. I says, the linemen are over here. He goes, what are you talking about? I'm a fullback. He says, leave me alone, you know, or something. And you go, okay, I'm sorry, buddy, you know. But it was, but we did have little Frank Cornetti, who was a small halfback, shorter than me, and might have been the same weight, you know, good speed. But as you, over time, you can see where you pretty much stand, you know. See what you could, you know what you can do, what you can't do, and what you got to do, and fundamentals and technique, you know, blocking and that, staying low, getting underneath them, put your face in the numbers, you know, stuff like that to help you when you're oversized, you know. If you had good fundamentals in that, that helps the smaller people. And I had a good coach, and I always had to use those because man on man for those linebackers blitzing or something, you got to be on your toes. You got to meet them in the hole. You got to meet them in the center guard gap, for they don't have nowhere to go. They got to go through you. Yep. You can't wait for them to get through because they got all this free grass to run around you, over the top of you. So if you're watching for the blitz, boy, you got to go right up and meet them in between the guard center. So you got to be smart and be on your toes and know what you're doing, and to take every advantage of where you may be lacking in size and strength, or where your shortcomings are, you know. And I was blessed with good hands and quickness, balance. You know, I didn't have great speed, I had good speed, you know, for college. But it was, I was good enough, you know, to, when I was there in 86, 87, I helped coach Tim Brown. Tim was an All-American Heisman Trophy winner, you know. And Tim set the record for total yardage for receiving, kick returns, rushing, on everything.
All-purpose yards.
You know, and I was telling my wife, you know, I says, Tim Brown has the record, honey, but he didn't have the record till 11 games, because after 10 games, I had the record. Because I was a halfback, but I also had my receiving yards, my punt return yards.
You had them all.
And my kickoff return yards, you know, I had them all. And after 10 games, I had the record. So one day I tell Tim, I said, you got the record, Tim, for 11 games. I got it for 10 games. And, you know, he's a wonderful guy, great guy. God bless him or whatever, you know. He laughed and laughed.
Take us back to that play where you scored that eventually led to a 10-10 tie between Michigan State and Notre Dame. That eventually led to a Notre Dame national title. Tell us.
Well,
You're sitting there in the huddle.
Yeah.
You break the huddle. What do you see?
I was wide open. I'm waving, baby. You know, I just went down and put a move on the corner and broke between the corner and the safety. Put my hand up for Coley, and he was able to thread it. You know, it was. They were big and they were good. They were tough. You know, I didn't know I was starting until right before the game, you know, because Nick Eddy, he got hurt getting off the train. He hurt his shoulder, and so we warmed up, and Eric says, you be ready, Bob, you be ready. So mentally I was preparing myself. He says, you're starting. Nick says he can't go. I said, okay, well, Coach, I'm ready. So it was tough, you know.
Now, with that, because during these discussions, I like to kind of talk about things that can be learned, especially for our young viewers. But after that touchdown against Michigan State, later on in the game, you get hurt. You get knocked out of that game, and that really kind of leads into your junior year, correct? And a lingering injury in your junior year.
Yeah.
You didn't start right away your junior year because of that injury, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And it took you, how long did it take you to kind of get that starting, the spot back?
It took me, it was my fourth game, I believe, John.
Okay.
I got hit in midair. I had a contusion of my left eye. It was smashed up like hamburger. My pad looks like a 22 bullet went through it, man. It was just shredded.
Yep.
It was smashed to pieces, and my leg just ballooned like this. And so of course I missed the Southern Cal game, and then spring practice and that I could run, I could cut, but I couldn't take a hit. I couldn't take that hit.
Yeah.
And that's when.
And you re-injured it, correct?
Yes, they said, do what you can do. Get in there, Bob. We want to see what you can do, and if we can count on you. And well, as soon as I got hit, it hemorrhaged again.
Yeah.
So by the fourth game my junior year, I won the starting job back.
I guess the reason why I bring that up is because talking with you, there's a couple things. One, before the Michigan State game, you didn't know you were starting until literally almost the day of the game. And I guess my point to the young viewers is you never know when your time's going to be called. And a lot of times we're not always starters or the stars per se, but we have to be ready when our time's called. And secondly, for a man has been successful for you, as you have been on the gridiron, you would assume everything just kind of not necessarily came easy, but like it was a smooth path to get to the success that you shared. And instead, you had to battle through an injury from your sophomore year to your junior year, and just have to keep working and grinding to stay on the football field. And I think it's just a great message of perseverance and hard work. And so that's why I kind of bring that up, because it's just not always a smooth ride. You have to battle through a lot of adversity, and it sounds like you've done that.
It's a tough game. That football is a tough game, and there's injuries that have ended a lot of careers collegiately and professionally, you know, and being able to have the mobility that I had with my quick feet and balance, etc., you know, it really helped that I wasn't a power type of a ball player, or I wasn't pounding and going through, and I was able to maneuver and juke and spin and roll and avoid a lot of big heavy hits, and that was key to helping to stay healthy, you know. And of course you train, and you go to the weight room, you do what it takes to be as good as strong and as equipped, ready as you can be, and you know, and God willing, you know. God blessed that one time I can recall, I got hit, man, by the side. I went out, I was going to block, and I got hit over here, and I could feel this guy going on my knee. I'm going, oh no! And just then my cleats came out of the grass, and I'm going, thank God. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. And boy, it could have been crucial. It could have been, you know, that could have been a ligament tear right there. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of athletes, you know, in all sports, you know, and those freak accidents like that can really can be career-ending for so many of us. You know, that you're fortunate. You know, I had surgery on the thumb, and I had my thigh, and I've also have an issue with concussions that I've been dealing with, you know, these past several years from pro football, where I got knocked out on that special team deal. I broke my helmet, you know. I made the tackle, but I broke the helmet and got knocked out, and they carry you off and lay you down, you know. How's Bob? Well, he'll be okay in a little bit.
Being the wedge buster doesn't have a long...
Yeah, those wedge... longevity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, those are wedge busters. That's not one that you really want to be first in line.
So 7 years of professional football you play, whether it's with the Boston Patriots.
4 with them.
And the Bills. You move on to the World League with the New York Stars, then play a little bit in Canada. Anything else you want to share about your professional career? Was it interesting playing in Canada?
No, I was just up there for one ball game. And I had a great experience with Kansas City Chiefs and Hank Stram.
Okay.
I had a tryout with them. The one camp, I forget what year, between years it was. I think it was before I went to the World Football League. I went down there, and Hank Stram was a class man. What a gentleman, you know. He'd call you in their office and talk to you, you know, and say, Bob, geez, thanks, you had a great camp. He says, unfortunately, our roster's full now, you know. Well, you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody might have got injured or this or that. And he says, boy, if you don't get claimed, I could find you a spot in Canada. I got a connection there. I could call some of the coaches. And well, he got me a tryout with one of the teams in Canada. I went out and played a game and was released thereafter. So, but he was, you know, what a nice experience, you know, because some of these places, you know, it's not a lot of fun, you know, and it breaks your heart, John, you know, I mean, oh, I love the game, I love football, and you know, to be treated like that and don't say anything, and you're a human being, you know. I'm not just a particle. I'm just not a part of the machine. And but this, my relationship with Hank Stram, who didn't know me, you know, he knew of me in Notre Dame or whatever, you know. But he called you into the office when they give you a tryout, Bob. You know, we got Ed Polak, we got this and this. We're working in there, do this. Okay, and I went down there, worked hard, had a lot of fun, and came down in the last cut and didn't make it. So he got me to Canada.
When you played that last game in Canada, when you took the cleats off for the last time, did you know that football was over then? And was that hard for you?
Well, that wasn't hard, no. That was the last time for that year, and I was just heading back home, and I wasn't home long, and then that's when the World Football League started.
Okay.
You know, so I went to the World Football League, and that came to the point where we were playing for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, we played at New York Stars, then we moved to Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets, and then after about 2 or 3 games, no more paychecks. And so the coach says, listen, we have teams that have been playing with no paychecks for 3 or 4 weeks, and if you guys quit, the league folds. But if we keep going, we got a chance that we'll survive. And these guys here have been playing for whatever. It was a power play move, but what the heck? We're playing football, and so we said, let's do it 1 week, you know. We go week to week. We played one more week. After that 1 week, it folded. Okay. You know, and that was the end. So, and I had enough. You know, I had enough. Yeah, you know, and it was a great run, I think, for little old Bob Gladieux, you know. I mean, from Louisville, Ohio, you know. I've been happy with what I've been able to accomplish, and I'm really blessed, you know, to know how fortunate I am to have been through a program like Louisville, and the coaches like Hap Lillick, and people around me, Paul Starkey, and you know, basketball and baseball coaches that helped me along, and it was a great run, you know. I'd do it all over again.
That's awesome.
For sure.
That's awesome. And I think the Lord blessed you after football too, with a beautiful wife, Inga, that I got to meet, and 3 beautiful daughters and 3 grandchildren. How awesome is that?
Yeah, you got that right, John. I hit the jackpot on that. That's when I was coaching at Notre Dame as a graduate assistant under Lou Holtz.
Okay.
And I'm 41 years old.
Wow.
Single. And Matt Kilcullen, who was assistant basketball coach, says, hey, I'm going out with a date. He has a girlfriend, he wants a double date. Oh, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun. Sure, Matt. And so a few days later, I see Matt. I say, hey, Matt, anything happened yet for the double date? And then he goes, not right yet. He said, the girl's she's kind of busy, you know, she's wishy-washy, you know, I don't know. Shucks, that's too bad, man, that could have been a good time. And Matt was a great guy, assistant under Digger Phelps. And so we go down to the pub, the local pub. My buddy Ron Duchney came in, who was a fullback when I played, my best friend, who ended up being the best man at my wedding. We go down and we go into the pub there, and lo and behold, there's Inga in the pub. And there's Matt.
She knew where to find you.
Yeah, so she's down. Well, no, she'd go in there, and that's where Jeff Jefferson, the 6 o'clock news team, would be in there after news broadcast. They were in there at 6 or after 11 o'clock at night. When they closed at 11:30, they go down to this Frankie's place where we would go, or I forget the name of the bar or pub. But she was in there, and I smoothed her over and got her to go out on a little date after the game tomorrow night, you know. We're playing the game, and so.
And the rest is history.
The rest, the rest is history. I put the blitz to her, man. She's tremendous. God, she really is. She's a wonderful, she's a workaholic. She doesn't stop. She's up in the morning. Bless her hands, you know, she works so hard. And she's got hand cream and stuff, but she got to rub eyes. Honey, take it easy. They got her gloves and that. And I do as much as I can, you know. I said, honey, I'm good for 4 hours now. I said, give me that honey-do list from noon to 4.
Yes.
Whatever you want, honey, you just let me know.
Well, I tell you what, that news team owed you, I think. From telling you that you were cut back in Boston, I think some news team owed you, and eventually you met your wife. That's a pretty awesome story.
Oh, yeah, that was, I can't do no better, you know. She's a beautiful lady, and she's very intelligent. She used to, she was a first-class flight attendant for Lufthansa Airlines, major German airlines, and she was the youngest ever, 21 years old, to be in first class. And she went all over the world, and it was incredible back in her day. She says, with Lufthansa, she would fly, you know, to Africa or Australia, to all these very interesting countries and places, but they have like a 4 or 5 day layover, you know, real nice hotel, rather elegant, with per diem every day also, you know, to go out and socialize a little bit and get to know the area, you know. And she spoke 5 languages. Yes, 5. And she was with them for 7 years, and had the time of her life, you know, time of her life. And she she met a German lad, and they got together, and they had a marriage that didn't work out, unfortunately, you know. And she did have 2 children. When I met her, I saw 1. You know, it was really funny, you know. So I meet her, and she says, my daughter, oh, hi. And she was like 5 years old. And I said, hi, Annette. Hi, honey, how are you? So I get to know her a little bit, and she's getting to know me a little bit better and that. And she says, well, Bob, I wanted to tell you this, and I didn't know how to break it to you or anything. But she says, I have another child. I go, you have another child? She goes, yes, and well, where is she? And she says, well, she's with her father in Germany. She's coming home next week.
Okay.
I goes, well, great. The more the merrier. And that
sealed it, huh?
That was it, you know?
That's awesome.
The more the merrier, I told her. And it's been that way ever since, you know. I mean, and she takes care of me, you know. She ran our business because she was a travel agent then she ran business at Notre Dame, a lot of commercial business at Notre Dame and a lot of in South Bend. And you know, I did all the running around, all the headaches and all the patchwork I could do that to keep her behind the desk and busy, and I'd go get the kids. One school was right down the street, and you know the thing about life, it's a buckshot, baby. You know, it's a buckshot because we're so busy in our middle ages with our work and our families that go, poof, all of a sudden here we are.
Yep.
You know, I said, what the heck's going on here, man? We got to think about the future or what's left of the future, you know? And which is fine with me because it's been grand. It's been grand, and we're blessed because our family and our children are doing well, thank God, you know. That's what the wife says, because we've been able to do and make our moves and do what we've done to move to Florida and come back up to
Northwest Indiana.
Northwest Indiana there, just and by God, it's cheaper to fly than drive, so
Yes.
you know, so we figured, or she figured that out, and it's been working out. We've been very fortunate.
Good. Now I'd be amiss. We've talked about your football career, wonderful. We've talked about your incredible home life and just a beautiful wife and 3 daughters. You got to talk about your acting career a little bit and the cameo that you made in the movie Rudy, and how you became friends with Rudy. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, hey, you got to give Rudy credit, you know. You know, Rudy's Rudy.
Yep.
You know, and he's a hard-working guy, and he got it done, and nobody knows how, but I introduced him to Jason Miller, and Jason, of course, played Error in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rudy, I don't know where I ran into him. I forget. Me and Ronnie Dusney, you know,
Okay.
and he tells me about this movie, this script. He's trying to get this movie made. Oh, Rudy, nobody gives a crap about you. I mean, who's Rudy? He says, Bob. He says, man, this is great. He says, I dreamed of playing at Notre Dame. I says, Rudy, there's a lot of people who dream of playing at Notre Dame and everything, you know. And he made a play, a tackle. He made a tackle evidently, or so. And he said, and then you see him, you know, he was consistently hounding you, you know, just always there, dropping the water, dropping after you, you know, just a pain. So I said, well, and then Deuce comes to town. I introduce him to Ronnie, and then Jason comes in, Jason Miller,
Okay.
the actor, director, or whatever. So we were able to get a script and get it to Jason, you know, and Jason gets back to him with something like, hey, perhaps I can do something with this if I believe it was, you know, if I can play the role of Aaron Parsegian. And Rudy goes, well, if you can do this for me and get me, well, that's no problem then. We can work around that somehow. I don't know how he did it or what he done, you know. We kind of just opened a door, a crack for him, you know. And then he said, well, Harpo, we're going to get you in the movie then, you know. I goes, what? He says, yeah, we'll get you in the movie. I don't know if Ronnie got in. No, I forget. I was at Ronnie's and I flew back to get in the movie, and it was just for an eye blink, you know.
Yeah.
It's about 4 seconds, you know, because we come down and, well, Ronnie was in, sure, I'm with Ron at the bar. And Ronnie and I come in from Pennsylvania, we come down to the bar, we're at the bar, we're sitting, and, because I know at the time you've been here for a while, and God, who's the director of that movie? I can't remember who. Angelo something.
I wish I could help you.
Yeah, but he was the director, and he goes, All right, cut, that's it today. That's great. Good job, everybody, we did. I look up, Rudy, what's this? Because Ronnie came in all the way from Pennsylvania and said, we'll get you in the movie. And Rudy goes, oh, wait a minute. He runs around and he talks to Angelo something. And they huddle up for a few. I said, check, break. He blows the whistle. One more scene, cameras, action, let's go down here in the corner. Bob and Ron get down there. So we got down in the corner and we're just socializing and, you know, shooting the crap in that. And they shot a scene down there where Ron and I were, and they injected it into the film then.
Huh.
Where, and Rudy goes, oh, well, there's Bob Gladieux. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
There's Bob Gladieux. He was a halfback.
Who knew
Notre
they had to bring
Dame.
the whole cast, or the crew at that time, bring it back together for that one scene? That's awesome.
Yeah, to get that back in there because Rudy wanted to do that for us, you know, for getting Jason and to make it happen, you know, because I don't know, he wouldn't have. And now he's still. I think they're doing a second take or something on it, right? Second run?
I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, yeah, they're doing a second run on it, and Rudy, I don't know what he's doing. He's a ticket. He's a ticket, you know.
Well,
you got to give him credit, though. That's, you know, it just goes to show you. And I was reading an interesting about that Pat Murphy. Did I tell you that earlier?
You did not.
The baseball coach at Notre Dame.
Nope.
He was coaching somewhere in small school in Florida, and he hitchhiked to Notre Dame. He called and talked to Roger Valdiserri, and he says, don't come. He says, I'm coming. Don't come. I'm coming to Notre Dame. I want to be your coach. And he talked to Brian Bullock, talked to Brian. He says, you got to wait. We got to go through protocol and step by step. He says, I don't have time. He says, I'm coming to Notre Dame. I want to be your baseball coach. And he goes, okay, I understand you want to, you know, you think you got a whack on that one.
Yeah.
And so Pat Murphy is persistent on this. And so Brian Bullock says, come on in. So while he's coming in, he's talking to Roger to get this interview with the athletic director, whoever it was at the time. And it's a little book. I don't know who brought it over, but I'm just reading it now. And it has these little short stories, you know, Rudy and this, and it's amazing, you know, a lot of unique, how Pat Murphy, and he did. He didn't have a great record or anything. He had a small resume from a college, but he said, I'll learn how to win. Don't worry. I'm going to win here. He said, I promise you, I'm going to win. And he did. He won 3 times. They went to the NCAA tournament, you know, Pat Murphy. And I'm going, and I know I met Pat, you know, in Lou Holt's days, that's when he was coaching, you know, and incredible. You hear stories about.
Well, I heard the quote the one time, if the dream's big enough, the facts don't matter. And it sounds like Pat pursued his dream.
All right, well, that's.
And that, it paid off.
Yeah,
the rest
so
was
you're
history.
right about that, you know.
But speaking of history, it's been wonderful to talk to you. And I tell you what, for me personally, growing up and hearing about Bob Gladieux, it was a lot of fun to actually get to know you on a personal level and just what a quality human being that you are. And so talking about these, you know, a lot of these last 75 years that you've been on this earth, talking about your childhood, talking about Louisville, talking about your time at Notre Dame, professionally, as an adult with your beautiful family, bringing it back to the roots here at Louisville. Because I'd be amiss if I didn't bring this up, being a Leopard legend and really the standard when it comes to Leopard football. What does it mean to you, and what did it mean to you to wear the blue and white?
Well, my brother played And he was really a little guy. You know, he was really small. And you never know if you're good enough. You know, you don't know how good you are when you're a little kid, and you come down here and boy, they all look like giants. And I knew I could play basketball for the St. Louis Logan. Paul Menege, was it Paul? And we had great success there. But Hap Lillick and the group of teammates I had, you know, and the program that, and to be in this building and to see this stadium, you know, it puts as much energy in me that I've had in a long time. It's great to be back, believe me.
Bob, we're so happy you came home, and just on a personal level, this has been one of the most rewarding hours that I've ever spent in my life.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bob Gladieux, the Standard of Louisville football. Thank you very much.
Thank you.